Greetings, greetings, greetings. I'm super excited. This is a new thing. We're trying some new technology, trying to do a little bit differently, be more engaging for the people. So I want to say thank you so much for you being able to lock in to the latest episode of the Moving Camp podcast by the United Supreme Council for the Northern Jurisdiction. So again, my name is Knight Commander Stephen Baird. I am your humble host. And today we're doing something a little bit different. We reached out to the body. We asked them some questions. We want to know, how has Scottish Rite Masonry impacted their life? So guess what? We picked a couple of individuals out of the blue here to be able to come on and to be able to speak about their experience and hopefully inspire the next generation of Scottish Rite Masons. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring some of my good friends on here really quickly. So, hey. So I'm excited here. I'm getting ready to introduce them, and I'm going to have them do a little bit more of a spiel for themselves. But I have Sublime Prince Matthews here, and I have Grand Inspector General Holman too as well, a good friend of mine. We always have some good conversations. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into it. So I'm going to go with I would say my elder, who's teaching me a lot, right? He sends me a lot of emails. I appreciate you, good sir. If you don't mind me, Grand Inspector General Holman, if you don't mind just introducing yourself, your name, what lodge you're from, as well as what consistory and Valley and Orient that you're out of, okay?
Okay, well, I'm Carlton Dwayne Holman. Most of my friends just call me C. Dwayne. I don't really use the Carlton. I'm a member of Widows and Lives number 4 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania since 1986, and I became a member of Demo Lake Consistory in the Valley of Philadelphia and the Orient of Pennsylvania. I've been a member of Demo Lake Consistory since 1989. I'm a
Awesome,
past
awesome.
vice potent master there, and I enjoy it immensely.
Hey, there we go, there we go. And then my peer is Blind Prince Matthews, sir, if you can introduce yourself.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Brother Bear. My name is Sublime Prince LeVar Matthews. I hail from the Composite Lodge number 121, the most worshipful Prince Hall jurisdiction of Pennsylvania, where I'm a past master. And I'm also a member of Malik Consistory number 1, the mother consistory of the Orient of Pennsylvania, Valley of Philadelphia.
Well, man, I'm so excited to have you two here. It was interesting. So people might say, hey, they're from the same consistory, but I think education is important in consistory because I didn't look and see where these people were from. I just looked at the responses and I liked it. So I was going in it. What we'll do really quickly here is for Sublime Prince Matthews, if you don't mind, just real quick spill. How did you even join like ancient craft masonry? Like, how did you get involved in the Blue House?
So ironically, I've always been one to seek knowledge. And but if I'm honest now, since I came in for mercenary motives. But I found so much more. I found much more. I'm talking about, I thought it was one way and it was actually the other. Um Man, I just found so much enlightenment, so much realization, and really I became more tethered to the grand architect of the universe, than even more so. Unfortunately, some people might kill me, might hate me to say it, but even more so than church, even more where I've, so, or any religious um institutions.
No, man, I feel you on that one too. Cause like I said, I say when you study sacred geometry, you'll then see something a little different when the grand architect of the universe. But hey, I'm there with you, man. And then Grand Inspector General Holman, how'd you end up getting, man, you've been a Mason for what, 38 years now, sir? I did the quick math, man. Hey, hats off to you, good sir. It's a blessing. So how'd
Yes,
you get
sir.
into ancient craft masonry?
Yeah, well, friend of mine's mother caught us hanging out a little too much, and she was Eastern Star. And she told us we needed to get our acts together and become Masons. And I'm like, well, what's a Mason? So a friend of mine's father, the guy I went to Lincoln University with, he had an emblem on the back of his car, and I asked him, was he a Mason? And he said, yes. And I said, so what do I have to do to become a Mason? And he said, he went to his car and came back with a petition, said, fill this out and give me $25. And I filled it out. I had no idea what I was joining. But then when I went through the interview process from 2 past masters from Wilson Lodge number 4 here in Philadelphia, they really sparked my interest. And then once I became I got into the class. My senior deacon, God rest his soul, he's very inspirational. He's a real spark in the jurisdiction of Pennsylvania. He unfortunately passed away in 2011. Grand Inspector General Charles E. Jones Jr. really sparked my interest in the organization, and I've grown immensely since having joined the craft. It's really been empowering.
Oh, that's awesome. And it's interesting you said Grand Inspector General, and he was like, and also you play the role of your
Oh, yes.
senior deacon. So, like, I know they probably didn't do it at the same time, but I'm just saying that level of
Hmm.
education, commitment, and a spark is something that we promote here in the Scottish Rite. So, I want to know. So, you got into the lodge. Side note: if you somehow can give me a petition for $25, I'm with it. Let's call it what it is, right? Let's.
Hmm. Right.
I'm down. I'm down for that. But all seriousness, so you joined the lodge. Now, tell me a little bit of how you got into the consistory.
Well, in actuality, and back here in Philadelphia, unfortunately at the time, a lot of the guys joined the consistory to get the 32nd degree so they can petition to become members of the shrine. So I did it as a segue or a way to gain access to Pyramid Temple number 1. However, once I came down DMLA, the then thrice potent master he passed away recently. Sovereign Grand Inspector General James A. Wells Jr. Said, "I will let you come into in the consistory with the condition that you would get online in the Lodge of Perfection." And I'm saying, okay, now you're telling me, you're blackmailing me, that, although I can just submit this application, you're telling me I got to make a commitment, because I had met him in another heroin's affair a few months ago, a couple months ago, prior to that. But it was really worth my while, because once I started working down at DMOLA and I was a line officer, I was a captain of the guard, I found out there was so much to be learned down there, and it actually augmented and ameliorated my knowledge and understanding of masonry. So when I did it for one reason, to go into the shrine, I realized that I found that my heart and soul was in the Scottish Rite. So working, and then we were doing degree work. We were actually exemplifying many of the degrees, the 4th, the 8th, the 13th, and the 14th. And I was part of the degree team, and it was really, really invigorating learning about Scottish Rite Masonry, in particular, and myself, in general. I mean, it was really a growing experience. And I still serve. I came in 1989, August, July of 1989, and I've been working down there ever since.
Oh, that's awesome. And you'll find that I think when people have these conversations with people, there's always stories of that individual that gave you that caveat because they knew what was in you. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So I think we always need that person that says, arise, fear no danger, right? You know what I mean? And you got to kind of follow through. We all, I think, have that story of that one brother that did that for us, but end up knowing what we needed at the outcome. So I always think that's awesome. And like I said, very educational here. Sublime Prince Matthews, man, like, let me know how'd you end up joining the consistory?
So, in all actuality, when I thought of Freemasonry, I thought of the consistory. Craft masonry, Blue Lodge, Blue House, whatever you want to call it. Some hate calling it the Blue House, although I have something to say about that. But anyway, to answer your question, Brother Barrett, I thought that the Blue House, the first 3 degrees, were just a stepping stone on the way to the Scottish Rite. I this is my favorite branch of masonry, although my opinion has since changed quite a bit. But I thought that the first 3 degrees were just the stepping stones to get to the Scottish Rite. However, I wound up staying in my Blue Lodge for nearly about 6 years before I before I moved into the Scottish Rite. And but I always had intentions on going into the Scottish Rite. I said that's the branch of masonry. That's what I really wanted to know, what the Scottish Rite was all about from day one.
And you know what's ironic there? You spoke on something that I must commend. Most people, when they do get into the order, they might get segued of trying to move too fast. But I commend you and respect you for waiting 6 years before you got into consistory. Like some people do it sooner, some do it later, but it's what's good for you. And again, I think that's something that we need to highlight for the people who are watching, whether you're a member or you're somebody who's not a member. You're standing in the Scottish Rite. There's a certain universality that comes with it. It's a global connection that we have in there. You know what I mean? So there's a lot that goes into that. And so one thing I want to know, because I've heard you speak, Sublime Prince Matthews, about a couple different things, but I want to know, like, how has being a part of the Scottish Rite, how has that either changed or impacted your life?
So you just touched on it. Number one, I realized that Scottish Rite Masonry was more of a global umbrella. It was more bigger, big picture thinking, 30,000 foot view, and that was the other piece that really called me to it, and it keeps my mind from getting too tight, too constricted, and really keep that 30,000 foot view and see the how does the sum of the parts make the whole better. How does each, because in Blue Lodge we get the silo, and we, even though it's global as well, it kind of silos your thinking, it pigeonholes your thinking a bit. But whereas the Scottish Rite, you really look at it like, yo, this is a global institution. When we're talking northern hemispheres and southern hemispheres, you like, aha. So and it also taught me about those three S in a patent. I'm not sure, Brother Barry, are your patents, I believe you all patents are the same, correct? So there are three S's on the patents with triangulated dots on them. It took me a long time, uh, 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 Grand Inspector General test me. He said, "What do those S stand for?" and what the triangulated dots associated with them. But from my understanding, they mean Sublime, Sovereign, Secret Prince is what the full title of the Sublime Prince used to be in Scots Masonry, if I'm not mistaken. And the word that stood out to me was sublime. I mean, excuse me, was sovereign. And I used to think about governments and who pays who. And, one of my mentors, he says, "The sovereign means who's getting paid." And then I looked at it and I took a step back. My perspective is, my understanding is, my thoughts are that sovereign really means I'm sovereign of myself. I can control myself. And that's what one thing, another thing rather, that Scottish Rite Masonry taught me, that I'm sovereign, that I have control of myself. I can respond. I don't have to react. And so I'll stop there, Brother Barrett.
Oh, no problem. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, good sir. What you said something there that triggers to me, and it goes to especially my relationship with Grand Inspector General Holman, is education and knowledge, right? There's a lot that comes into this. In Scottish Rite, what I was told is Scottish Rite is like baking a cake, but all they do is tell you the ingredients. And you just gotta figure out, like, how do I mix it in? By what thing? What's this? How long do I cook it for? What's going on? Like, it's your own kind of like playhouse where you can learn and you can dive into what touches you, right? And that asked me, speaking about education, your name pops up to me all the time, Grand Inspector General Holman. So let me know, because I got an idea, I got an inkling, but tell me kind of how has Scottish Rite Masonry impact or changed your life?
Well, in actuality, it was an expansion, or it was a. It's not. They're not really higher degrees as much as they are the advancement of the original 3 degrees. The things that you learn in the first 3 degrees are instrumental, but when you delve into the Scottish Rite, certainly it takes the first degree, second degree, and third degree, and it advances them. It gives you more insight as to what it is that you become a part of. So my doing studies and doing degree work gave me cause to pause and start to thinking about what is it that I've actually become a part of. And in doing so, I realized that the more I learned, the more I wanted to know. It's like a potato chip. You can't eat just one. So I started branching and reading and learning a lot of things. In the 36 years that I became, since I've been a Scottish Rite Masonry, because like I said, I became, joined the Scottish Rite in 1989. I found myself, there were times when I felt like I was really growing, and there were times when I became stagnant. But I realized that my stagnation was only a result of my own lack of engaging myself in the learning process. So my sponsor and my mentor, my beacon of light, I should say, for Scottish Rite Masonry is my senior deacon, past master, past thrice potent master, and invariably prior to his passing was Grand Inspector General Charles E. Jones Jr. said you gotta read books, and he gave us a recommended reading list. So when I became a thrice potent master, I submitted the reading list to the members of my team, and certainly to any member of the consistory who wanted to learn more. So in doing so, I picked up more books, and like I said, the more I read, the more I wanted to know. And as a matter of fact, in recent years, I've bought several books, which I have right here handy, that I use as referral materials or reference material that I've sent information to you, of course, as well. And I've compared and contrasted. And now I'm up to 4 different sources. So you look at all 4 of the sources and you compare them, you say, oh, okay, now I'm getting to understand what the entered apprentice degree means, what the fellowcraft degree means, and invariably what it is that we're supposed to be seeking in the Scottish Rite. We're still trying to find ourselves. And in doing this and reading and comparing all the information that I have, it's been like sometimes I just can't tear myself away from learning more and more about the Scottish Rite. So my focus primarily is dealing with the Scottish Rite and how it's making me a better person. And I have a couple books that I like to recommend to you prior to concluding this engagement. But it's like I have to say that it's and I know you like to read, and we've had several conversations, and it's like it's really spurred me a part of this organization as long as God allows me to function and be able to perform clearly. And it's nothing like it, There's nothing like it.
I do have to admit that, right? So one thing that the Scottish Rite has taught me is the universality of human nature, right?
Hmm.
The other thing too, I would challenge everybody, whether you're a Grand Inspector General, a Sublime Prince, KCCH, or Sovereign Grand Inspector General, is that go back, read the 3rd paragraph of your obligation. It tells you who you should unite with and what you should
Hmm.
unite for. It's the only house in masonry that I know that has a responsibility to the world.
Right.
Everywhere else, it's your brother, a widow, or maybe your neighbor. It's somebody that's within your close proximity.
Or an
Here,
orphan. Or the orphans.
mhm,
Yeah.
yep, but that's still close proximity. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's like
right, right.
somebody that you
Right.
have to be close to them, right, to be able to kind
Yes.
of know what's going on. But in this case, one thing I'm going to leave the viewers here with is within the Scottish Rite, the skill sets you need to be able to fulfill your obligation will require you to stretch your mind, your body, and your soul to be able to accomplish. And what's beautiful about it is that you strengthen in the Scottish Rite, you will strengthen in your Blue House Masonry because you're going to have to leverage the 7 liberal arts and science to be able to apply it to be able to understand what's going on in the Scottish Rite. And then from there, you just kind of take off. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
it's a beautiful. And if you don't mind, like I said, you can go ahead and drop those, say 1 or 2 of the books you want to recommend for somebody specifically for Scottish Rite Masonry real quick. And then, like I said, we're here about shedding
Piece
light
okay,
at
I
the
can
moment.
read was this book here, which is entitled A Study Guide of Scottish Rite Masonry, the 4th through the 32nd degree. This is an easy read book. The pages, the degrees are talked about briefly, but it gives you it's very succinct, but it's very conclusive. It's concise and conclusive. It gives you good information. The next book that I have
I
is
was
A
looking for
Bridge
my
to Light.
copy. I was looking for my copy because I got one. I was
Okay.
like, I
The
got
next
that. But go
one,
ahead.
of course, is The Bridge to Light. And Bridge to Light is like a kind of like the cheat sheet for the Morals and Dogma the book. And Morals and Dogma may not be a very easy read for most
For
Masons,
sure.
but if you really want to delve into it, if you really are there, you can actually get into it. But this is like uh, a shortcut to the Morals and Dogma. The book that I found most intriguing is the most recent acquisition, which I bought about 6-8 months ago, called "The Journey of the Elu to Enlightenment." Now, this book here, once you put the other 2 in their place, and then you come and read this book here is like the gospel. This book here will make you rethink and empower you and say, okay, oh, I've been doing this wrong for too long. So this is the time. This right here, this book will spell it out and say, you know what, brother, if you consider yourself, and I'm a Grand Inspector General, and certainly as a past life master, if I want to engage newer and younger members, I have to be thoroughly versed on what it is that Scottish Rite Masonry means. So if I can't articulate who it is or what it is this body stands for, this book here will break it down for you. So like I said, I prepared lessons from this book, retyped it, proofread it, and then each time I'm learning more and more. So, and I say to you, that's a good thing. And I have lastly, this is my Morals and Dogma book. Now I put a cover on it like the old school, because like when I was growing up, because I didn't want it to get damaged. But Morals and Dogma is the end game to it all. Now, when you can read that and comprehend the content of that book, then you know you've mastered Scottish Rite Masonry. And Sovereign Grand, or Grand Commander Albert Pike breaks it down really good. And again, A Bridge to Light is a book for if you just want to know a basic, fundamental understanding of what it is you're expected to do. It's a good book, a good introduction book. But going back to the book that you mentioned, the study guide, this book here, it's easy read, very easy read. But it's like say, well, I need to know more. I want to know more about Scottish Rite, and that's when you get by the other books. So, and I decided,
yeah, the journey of Elu. What people don't realize is the first 2 sections of that book isn't even about the degrees; it's about the philosophy of the Scottish Rite.
Yes.
Come on, oh, you think you was gonna give me? Yeah, see,
oh no.
Bit.
It talks about it actually breaks it down to 6 different areas that I haven't even sent out yet, because I said let me give people the foundation, the basics of what the journey of the Elu to enlightenment is, and I'm gonna go back and say now here's what it is. So right now I'm working my way through the ineffable degrees with a large perfection. As you well know, I'm up to the 12th degree, and I'm saying this that if you don't read these books, and I hold the title of Grand Inspector General, if I don't read the books, then I may not be worthy of the title that I hold, And I also, as you all know, came back in May and I became a Knights Commander. So I have my shirt on. I'm proud to wear my shirt. So it's like, that's really a good thing,
Yeah, no, and that's perfect, man. That's perfect. And so I think for our members here, what we're going to walk through is just something. One, I want to personally thank you all for taking your time out of your day to be able to hang out with the Moving Camp podcast. And then real quick to our audience, what you want to do is you want to say this. We have some very phenomenal things that's coming up down the line. There's some key things that I want to be able to notate. A little public service announcement, right? Make sure if you haven't already, to the members out there, make sure to get your journal ad for United Supreme Council. If you're coming to my area, Detroit, we're going to have some fun. We might have something special for everybody for the Moving Camp podcast when you come down here and get a great experience. But without further ado, I appreciate everyone. You have a phenomenal day.